mathematics, but research shows that there are things that are mathematical about fine art as a subject. Now, what is so mathematical about fine art?
The truth is, the pattern that you draw in fine art, if I was going to draw your portrait, I'll have to do something circular, spherical. That's maths in itself, because you're looking at shapes. If I was going to draw you, I have to look at proportionality. I have to see this is the real image, this is the object. So you have to look at enlargement and reduction. So if I was going to draw a car, I can't get a piece of paper the same size as a car. So I have to look at it and say, yes, this is a car, it's about 6 meters long. So what am I going to do? I have to take 6 centimeters on my piece of paper and match it to the car. You do it subconsciously.
Which means every artist should actually be a good mathematician.
Every artist is a good mathematician. That's how mildly I would put it. Because if you ignore the fundamentals of maths, you will not be able to represent any object that you see. Because that is really an interplay of enlargement, perspectives, you're looking at shapes, you're looking at modeling. Because if you're modeling a particular thing, that's essentially what you're doing. And when they give you an artist's impression of a building, what are they saying? This is what the artist thinks the building is going to look like. And then you pass down to an architect. An architect works on essentially technical drawing of replicating that which the artist has conceived and trying to bring it to pass in terms of the real life structure. So you're dealing with enlargement, dealing with shapes, dealing with perspective. It's an illusion for you to say that because you hate maths, you want to run into art. If somebody really educates you and looks at, does a perfect analysis of your work, your so-called art or fine art, and tells you the relationship between that and what will happen if you took that into a whole topic called shapes at GCSE level. And if you move it to A level, it even gets bigger. Then you know that you don't run away from it. You may have been misinformed to say that they are independent subjects. They are very, very interrelated.
Interestingly now, so if anyone has got questions on fine arts, please send us an email and we'll let you know. Now, summer school is still on. A lot of students have gone on break. Now, what should most students be doing during this summer? Okay.
Now, one of the earlier questions we asked about boosting literacy. This summer, you should look at your sporting interests. Because it's a holiday time. Look at your hobbies. Because it's a time for you to do whatever you like doing. And then keep a diary of your daily activity. If you keep a diary of your daily activity, what you're essentially doing is you're doing time management, project management, and writing. Then if you now review the newspapers we were saying earlier on, if you get your parents to buy your newspaper, if they can't buy it, just go to the local library. Go to the back page, especially if you like sports. Go to the entertainment pages if you are interested in entertainment. Pick the section, only your section. Don't read the entire newspaper. I'm not saying if I get you to read the entire newspaper, that's school all over again. I don't want you to do what you would normally do in school. I'm not giving you instructions. I'm saying be relaxed about what you want to listen to in terms of television. Report on it. Be relaxed about what you want to read and report on it. If you do it every single day, I'm not saying you should read for 5 hours. If you read for 15 minutes every day, you will find out that at the end of the week, what you've accumulated in terms of expressions, knowledge, vocabulary, it will amaze you, will astonish you. So it's a good time for you to keep the clock ticking and build up on your literacy, build up on aspects that you thought were so difficult before, why it was presented under pressure. We are doing this under leisure.
And also learning project management skills, like keeping a diary of your daily activities.
That's right.
That's project management. Now let's go over to people who stay in education for longer. They appear to be better able to compensate for the effects of dementia on the brain, a study suggests. Now a UK and Finnish team found those with more education were as likely to show the signs of dementia in their brains at death as those with less. Now, what are your comments on this study, the effect of dementia?
Any neurologist will tell you that, because when you have the brain initially, you have the freestanding cells, the neurons, they are unconnected. At our early years in life, we now start connecting the brain cells based on what we do, based on how we stimulate them. We observe that children in China, because of their activity, their brains are slightly more developed in certain area than children in the West. Again, this is empirical scientific evidence to show that the way you stimulate your brain cells will determine the way your brain is eventually configured or constituted or linked to each other. because your brain is a network of cells communicating with each other. So if you stimulate it, it's just like your muscles. Is in use, is active. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's my left hand. There's nothing wrong with my left hand. It's fantastic. But I have never written with my left hand. I'm right-handed. So I write with my right hand. So that does not mean that my left hand is pathological. It just means I have not used it, and because of dystrophy that will arise from lack of use, that will result in time. So if you stimulate your neurons and stimulate your brain cells, dementia, which is essentially looking at dystrophy and degeneration associated with age, due to underusage of the cells, will go down because you have not used it. So it's either you use it or you lose it. So if you are active in research, you are active in reading, you are active intellectually, your memory goes up. But if you don't memorize things, just memorizing it, looking at a block of text, learning it by heart and committing it to memory, you are exercising the muscles of your brain. If you exercise the muscles of your brain, you will therefore arrest the onset of dementia, which is due to lack of use of the cells. So it's therapeutic in that aspect. It's not just something that you're doing because some people say, oh, I've finished formal reading, formal schooling, I've already graduated from university. Why should I read? Hey, that's essentially why you should read. Read now about your passion. Read about other things, because your reading is not just for your intellectual benefit, it is also for your cranial benefit.
And so a lot of people who suffer from dementia, the best thing is to begin to use their brain, begin to exercise it.
Exercise the brain, because there's a course to do on the, I mentioned it briefly on the success of exam, secret of exam success video. I was saying how to double your memory, all right? How to double your memory, because every human being can double their memory. This is without doubt, and I dare anybody to contradict me on it, because they've also done this in the Middle East when they taught little children at the age of 5, 6, and 7 how to recite the Quran, because it's Arabic and their mother tongue is different. Those ones that recited the Quran, their activity in terms of when they looked at the scan, they could see clear differences between that group and the control group. So if you don't use it, you will lose it. I think that's what everybody should realize. But if you use it, you will double the capacity. And the more you use it, the better you are. If Usain Bolt stops exercising today, you know what happens? He will lose the world championship. If he exercises, he will continue to improve on his speed. So if you don't use the brain cells, if you abandon them, it will happen. What happened to my left hand for non-usage would essentially happen to your brain cells, because they are neurons. They need to be stimulated, constantly challenged, constantly used, so you can double your memory. It's a very simple set of exercises that we do. You can double. You would never be able to forget names again. There are ways of recalling names. You would never be able to forget where you left your key. So it arrests forgetfulness. Why? Because you've developed your memory up to a level that makes it impossible for you to operate at the mediocre level. You're operating at the optimal level.
At the optimal. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. Briefly, just before we go, how was the convention last week?
Oh, it was explosive. And congratulations for those that were able to make it. I was looking at the audacity of knowledge, the boldness that comes from knowing, and how to build on knowing, and how to tweak your learning process so that you efficiently learn. So you will study for 6 hours and I'll study for 3 hours by the time I'm through with it, and still be able to learn exactly the same thing. So it's not how far you go in this journey, it's how well you manage your learning process.
And it's not about how long as well.
It's not how long. And this week we are having a special seminar at Ruby Close, Ruby Triangle in Oak Kent Road, Grace Outreach Auditorium, and we're building on that. And quite honestly, if you are anybody that is involved in any form of learning, it doesn't have to be academic, any form of learning or any skills that you want to acquire, from riding a bike to doing mechanics, as difficult as mechanics is, and working on vectors, you will benefit from it, because we are unveiling, just revealing, because every year we are moving on. We are experiencing new revelation. The grace of last year cannot carry you for this year.
That's good. So if you want to learn how to ride a bike, or you want to be an expert in mechanics and vectors, log on to imafidon.com and get to know more about the conventions. Thank you so much for coming on our program, and it's nice to see you. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Viewers, it is Brunch Education Talk.